Hi, all. How is everyone? I know it's been a couple of weeks. I've had a few emails and a few sessions and last minute sessions, and the feedback is the same. It's been a week. I hope everyone is calibrating. Hi, Adva. Hey, Cole. Long time no see. Hi, April, my love. It's hot. Say calor. It is a bit steamy outside. Hi, Zoe. Um, Let me get over to the Zoom. And there we go. So today is it's public, it's for everyone. If you are a member, I can also take a look at your chart for this. Let's just call it an event. Um, and but I will go through all 12 signs for everyone and I'll answer questions. But I can stay afterwards and read for nerd members and gratitude members. I'm looking at the chat. Wow, you found out a week ago that your sister and you have a younger half brother. Congratulations. That's amazing to get a new sibling. You just got laid off at work and you're feeling bad. Okay. So tonight, um, of course, as always, I'm always encouraging all of you to go listen to Lori Rivers in the Awake Space. She did a whole special. She talked about it on her podcast, which was dropped Monday. Last Friday, I was not there at the astrologers roundtable. I was not there at D&D night. My kids and I had a date to go to the good grocery store where we like to stock up. And it was literally the only time that week where all the schedules lined up. And so I missed it. She and Damien, one of the other astrologers on the team, along with Andrew, who I just adore. He's wonderful. He's our dungeon master, but also an astrologer. And so they went down the rabbit hole. When's the last time that we had any like the planets lined up like this? And it was over 3,000 years ago. I will, it was BC. Um, Everybody should go. I will, at the end of this, I will put the podcast link in the in the comments. But so listen to that. But I'm going to pull up the chart for this full moon. The full moon by itself, if it was by itself, would not be so visceral. But it is all the other planets. We have Jupiter and Cancer. It's not really, it is kind of talking to the moon, but it's the other things going on separately from the moon. That would be an event by itself. And to be honest, if what what is locking in right now in the sky was going on, regardless of there being a lunation, I would be making a video about it. This is good. It brings change. It's moving things out of our lives. And I talk about this all the time. Sometimes universe will bring us change that, for whatever reason, and with no shame and no labeling and no judgment, we haven't been able to move ourselves. It will bring us awareness of things that are buried deep, that are so nuanced and so buried deep in our daily behaviors that we have acclimated to slowly, that we don't even realize we're doing. Yes, even if you do this. Yes, even if you're highly intelligent, you could be in a counseling field, you could be an astrologer. No one's immune to transits. I always joke that I wish it was something like where I could sign my name to Ursula, and trade my voice for having no transits. But that's not a thing when you're an astrologer. There are no job benefits that allows you to be immune to the same transits everyone else is experiencing. So, like with Zoe, I'm sure in some time you're going to look back and think, thank God, because I would have stayed there. And something better will come your way. There's going to be quite a bit of disruption to our daily scheduled programs, both in our inner lives, and probably we're going to see that in the outside world. Uranus is our friend. There is a grand trine between Pluto in retrograde, Uranus, and Mars moving into Libra. It's going to be action. It's going to be severing. It's going to be disruptions. It's going to be surprises. It's going to be transformation. I think we should all be really happy that Pluto is in retrograde. So it is actually going to come softer than it could possibly come. On top of that, all of that is talking to the Mercury retrograde, which is slowing down, has slowed down, and is getting ready to station. So that's when it's the most, planets have their movement. And when it retrogrades, it's just like, if you've been in my community, then you already know, and you've heard me talk about when you're a kid and when you're in the pool with your friends, the above ground, and everybody walks in one direction and then everybody turns and tries to walk against the water. That is like the slowness of a planet moving. So that energy of the planet stationing, so it can go back in its normal motion, so it can go direct. So that's going to be strong right now. And it's in Leo. So we're not going to talk about it being ego or vanity or me, because that's not what it's about. It's about Leo ruled by the sun is about what drains us, what enlivens us, what fuels us, and how do we identify? How do we identify with what we've needed to survive and what don't we need? So when we have Mercury in retrograde like this at that 4 degrees, really almost at a slow stop, and talking to this grand trine, and what I have not said yet is that Mars, and if we want to technically call it a malefic, that's how it would be referred, is opposite Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries, on that seesaw. So it's Mars moving into Libra. That's really the event because it locks in that grand trine with Pluto and Uranus in Aquarius and Gemini, respectively, and into an opposition with Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And that Saturn and Neptune has been for a bit now in a trine with Mercury in retrograde, which is also sextiling the Mars and sextiling the Uranus and opposing Pluto and Aquarius. And there's a full moon. And the moon is ruled by Saturn and Uranus, which is doing all the things that I just said it's doing. This is to change us. This is to move us. And sometimes we need irritations to move us out of situations. Sometimes we're too nice. Sometimes what's on the other side of the change seems worse than the discomfort of what needs change that we've acclimated to. Whatever the reason is. Whatever the reason is. So the most important thing that we can do is be present with yourself, lots of self-care. Everybody's going to be feeling this. No one, I mean, if you have planets at lower degrees, 0 through 4, you or 5, you may feel this is going to hit some of your own natal placements. Beautiful things can happen in full moons. Full moon is like a party. That's why it's referred to as like chaotic, or the hospitals are more crazy, or it's a good time for a party. It's a good time to get together right now with friends. I hope that everybody's got something around 13, 14 degrees and you all feel that gorgeous Venus and Jupiter in Cancer together. Let's pull up the chart. And then my all of my software has been interesting, to say the least. Google Meet just pulled itself up. No one asked. No one asked. Here we are. Okay. Let me get that. Let me get the chat popped out. There we go. Oh, no. It's too much. This is the fun thing where I'm balancing like 12 different screens. Okay. So here's the thing. I hate fear-mongering astrologers. If you've been on my channel before, if you've been on my page, you know that I have a disdain for people who get clicks and likes. I call it Munchausen's for astrology. Let me tell you what's wrong with you. Only I can help you. Everybody brace. I don't like that. I am gently coming to all of you with the facts of what these transits are. Also, I'm a big fan of Pluto. It's in my symbol, if no one's ever noticed. I'm a big fan of Uranus. They're probably my 2 favorite planets, along with Mercury. Those are my top 3. Uranus liberates us. So this weekend, we are going to see liberation. We're going to see truth telling. Some of that truth telling on a collective level may be to spite somebody else, right? I think that's more going to be for people of note. I don't think everybody should expect that in their real life. But we have the full moon right around 0 degrees. It's funny because on Lori's astrological software, it comes as 16 degrees and 59 minutes. So around 17 degrees or 16 degrees and 59 minutes. Either way, I'm leaving it at 17. So the non-astrologers have an easier time with the math of it. And it's having a whisper of a conversation with the nodes. So, you know, not much one way or the other. However, it is really having, and again, if it's having a conversation with Jupiter, it's a very little whisper, and it's really not having a conversation with Venus. I would not give that a conversation. I would not give that a lot of weight. But what we do have is Mars, which moved in today to Libra at 0 degrees. We have Mars moved into Libra at 1 degree, making a trine. And I'll get out my handy dandy marker for everybody. So it's this guy making a grand trine to Uranus and Pluto. Now, Pluto is not conjunct the moon. Pluto is not, don't let anybody tell you that the moon and Pluto are conjunct, that they are doing anything together. They barely even realize they're in the same room together, in the same sign together. Don't worry about that. Pluto is having its own conversation, right, with that. And then that looks like a uterus every time. Okay. And then this is opposing. This is in a trine. So, and these are all, obviously, this is in an opposition. These are all talking to each other in stronger conversations. These are both sextiles, sextile, sextile. So this is one big conversation here. And it includes everything but the nodes, the full moon, and this beautiful little conjunction. I wish we were experiencing Jupiter and Venus together at a time when all of this other stuff wasn't happening. But what this is liberation. 100%. This is liberation. This is severing you from anything that isn't authentic, isn't in your best interest, isn't in our best interest. And because Mars is there, it's in Libra. Those are the scales of justice. It wants things to be right. Of course, we're seeing this on a collective level. The fuckery that abounds is hard for anyone to ignore unless you are quite literally probably in a chokehold of misinformation. But there's enough mistreatment of other humans that it's creating an uprising. There are protests still going on everywhere, all over the world and all over this country, that aren't being reported because we have less power if we don't understand that everybody is on the same page, and that's the goal. And I'm not going to shut up and sing. I'm not going to sit here and do astrology and pretend we are not living in the times that we are, because astrology is reflective. It's not causation, it's reflective. But if you're a human with compassion and empathy and you see what's happening in the world, you know, whether you are doing what you have to do for your own mental, emotional, and physical wellness, which I'm a big proponent of, please do that. Whether you are letter writing, whether you're doing something one way, somewhere in the subconscious, we are aware that we need some changes here because humans should not be living in these conditions, right? And again, go follow Lori and listen to Lori because she is the GOAT about being able to talk about what we might see collectively, what we might see in governments and weather and whatnot. But on a personal level, everybody should probably move into a place within yourself where you can find peace. Do you have your redirects? Listen, as astrologers, we look ahead. There is a reason that I did the video about being able to regulate your nervous system and ground your energy and do spiritual hygiene. Everyone's feeling this. That Mercury retrograde, where people might be speaking out of the identity of their wombs, what they need to keep themselves safe. You know, it may feel like we have not have support from people we would expect support from. And I want to remind everybody that sometimes there isn't a bad guy. Sometimes there's just times when everybody is doing the best that they can, and the best that they can is being really, really challenged and guided by being in their wounds. I myself was in my wounds, I want to say like the last 2-3 weeks. And I wasn't myself because I was working out of what I thought I needed to survive. And I don't need those things anymore. And I have always said that if we're not paying attention, right, that the problems will get bigger. Unless we're going to completely ignore and then it will explode. Lori says universe will turn up the volume. It's the same vibe. And I had the volume turned up. I had the volume turned up and I needed it. And it was able, it really helped me to recalibrate. And I am feeling much more peaceful now. You know, and it didn't come in one direction. It came in 3 directions, 3.5, because there was one small thing. And people may be experiencing that. And just truths coming to the surface, kind of. Let me know if this chart is backwards or forwards. You may not need all the writing. You just need to know that's what the chart looks like. But we have social justice here. We have rethinking how we work out of our wounds. Retrogrades are for rethinking, reframing, re-examining. They're not just to mess with our technology. Retrogrades aren't necessarily bad. I actually prefer Neptune in retrograde because it's very truthful. It breaks the fog, and especially within Aries, it really feels that way. I'm going to blip for a second. Oh, I got to let go of the annotations. Else it doesn't let me use my cursor. It is backwards. Okay. Let me try to change that. Is that better? Oh, it's not backwards. Okay, let me erase all this. And I know that I'm lower energy. I'm low energy all this week. I have other transits going on. Like I have Mars on my Pluto that finally just got off. But the 2 weeks when Mars was on my Pluto, I have Uranus trine my Uranus and also Pluto trine my Uranus. I have all of that talking to my sun. I had Mars in Virgo squaring my Mercury. I have had a lot, you know, going on in my chart. Um, is that better? What would I do without you, Juan? We're all set now. So what we're going to focus on for all 12 signs, you've been in a bad, and things can feel crunchy because it's, I said this to a new client last night. Sometimes whether we get like a solar return that's Scorpio run and it's Mars, or we have an eighth house sun, or there are Plutonian themes. It is, we want to look at it like burning out the infection. Anything that's not supporting our best health, either, as a society on a whole or in our personal lives. Anything that needs to be burnt out, expelled, that is what Pluto will do. It is the phoenix. It'll burn things down so you can start fresh again. Uranus disrupts what no longer serves us. Mars in Libra is there to put action behind justice. It is the hesitation and the clinging to the identity of working through our wounds and our trauma manifested behaviors. Doesn't mean we're bad. Doesn't mean there's a bad guy. Sometimes everybody is in their shit. I would take things with a grain of salt right now. I would take things with a grain of salt, and I would be as least reactive as possible to anything. Keeping to yourself is is not, as long as when you're keeping to yourself, you're also doing whatever you can to regulate, to self-care, to self-nourish, that is not selfish. Lori and I have the conversations of like, I love Pluto, right? I love the deconstruction, but we have to remember it's the phoenix. We don't deconstruct to deconstruct. The more we understand ourselves, the more we have redirects for our mindset, for our behaviors, for our reactions. I mean, knowing what you're going to say to somebody who's going to say something out of pocket or passive aggressive, having something in your back pocket to be able to use is really helpful, right? So having the redirects, having a plan for, I am aware, right? Universe has made me unable to be unaware of something going on in my life. So instead of pretending like this isn't happening, I don't want to know this. I can't deal with this right now. Understanding that at some point there has to be a reconstruction to whatever you are being liberated from and deconstructed from. that there will be a reconstruction. How much agency do you want to have in that reconstruction? Having a plan of what it could look like that's the healthiest for you, not that's the most pleasant for anyone else, not what keeps everybody else happy in your life. That's on them to do whatever they need to do to get themselves happy, to get themselves healthy. But when Pluto deconstructs, we have, it's going to get reconstructed. How much say do you want to have about the reconstruction of your own fucking life? It's kind of that simple. It's not simple to do. It's not easy to go through. But the more you lean into it, when you resist the wave, you get pulled into the undertow. You can ride the wave. But people will be peopling. We're also seeing a lot of spiritual psychosis right now. If you're not aware of the person on the internet talking how she fell in love with her psychiatrist, and then she is clearly not okay, but in her full chest. And this, it's another, I want to do a whole thing about, I don't want to talk about this poor soul because she is not okay. And she's being not okay on the internet in front of millions of people and exposing herself to that. And I feel like the ethical thing to do would be for all of the social media companies to just take away her account right now. So she can't do that kind of damage, continue to do that kind of damage. She is a coach. She was actively taking coaching money from people. There's a lot going on right now. So take with a grain of salt how other people are acting. When you've heard ad nauseum, the only thing you can control is yourself. That apply that to this weekend. Don't engage, don't react, and be really, really safe because Mars, Uranus, Pluto is accident prone. If you've got a Uranus in low degrees, you're going to be extra super. I will not be leaving the house. I will be wrapping myself in bubble wrap because my Uranus gets dinged by this. Mars will be on my Uranus and the Mercury retrograde is in a sextile. And so I will be wrapping myself in bubble wrap. The only thing that I will be doing, hey, little John, the only thing that I will be doing on Saturday is holding space for membership, and we'll do some kind of meditation, some walkthrough. Maybe I'll do an Into the Lonely Woods reading, something comforting. It should feel like we all have snacks and a nap. That is, let me tell you something. If there is one recommendation for how everybody should handle this, as much as you possibly can, snacks and naps. Warm, cozy blankets. I know it's August. Do whatever you have to do. The irritation will be bubbling on the surface because of this. And again, this may not be stuff happening in your personal life that seems so like, oh my God, what is this? It could be, it's going to happen. It's a full moon. Right? So we're going to be very aware. Things are going to be illuminated. People's behaviors are going to be illuminated, whether that is in their best self or not. And also stuff on the outside will be happening that might be a little, oh shit. And so remember that it's Mercury in retrograde. Things may get refined, redone, do-overs. It's going to be the beginning of the deconstruction of things that are not working for society. That will probably not look cute on the outside at first, but it is, it's all working towards a better place. Don't be reactive. Take a grain of salt with, other people's behavior. If it feels like what is happening right now, Jazzy, That is my advice for that grand trine, the opposition, that is my advice when we are talking about Libra Mars, trine the Uranus and the Pluto, which is enough, but it's also opposite Saturn and Neptune, both in retrograde. It is sextiling the Mercury in retrograde, which is opposite the Pluto, and trining the Saturn and sextiling the Uranus. Those, we're going to go through all 12 signs for the full moon, but I wanted to come in and be really clear that this weekend could feel really crunchy. It could feel like there's irritation, agitation. It's accident prone. It's what the fuck is happening? And you may have been experiencing that in your real life, depending on your natal chart. Mercury stations direct on the 11th. It'll probably be a little wonky till the 12th or 13th. If crazy shit happens this weekend, right? The last actually 2 days, information came in to me that I'm like, oh, well, that's going to change everything. But I'm not taking any action. I'm not even like, I'm not going to any of my friends or astrologers. I haven't even spoken to Lori about it, because I'm going to wait and see what resets itself after the 13th and Mercury is direct. And it'll start separating away from Pluto also. Don't forget, Pluto is moving backwards, but so is Mercury. So right now, Mercury is applying in an opposition to that Pluto. And once Mercury goes direct, it'll be separating, and Pluto will be going the opposite direction. So they'll come out of that opposition that they're in right now that feels extra crunchy. This is really beautiful. Wherever you have Cancer and wherever you have things like this is applying to my Mars. That could be very sexy. That could be very good for my job. That could be a million different things. That's positive. Wherever you have Cancer, water, or cardinal signs between 10 and 13 degrees, that, hey, Lee, my love, that could end up being just amazing. You know, I had a session with somebody today and their moon is around that degree and they're spending the weekend with like their closest 3-4 friends. And that is so beautiful. That's such a beautiful, whatever you can do to be in the joy and know that on the other side of whatever's crunchy right now, there are beautiful things that await you. Whatever is on the other side of what feels crunchy, whatever you've gone through the last couple of weeks and whatever August may look like on the outside, you know, self-love is an act of resistance to the societal stuff. And it is an act of stabilization for us on a personal basis. Also, this is, again, I've been saying, if no one knows, or if there's anyone that doesn't know, I should say, on Sundays, I go through the week's astrology, and then I pull cards specifically for those transits. And the last 2 weeks, maybe 3, I've said this is not the time to have like the conversation. Jazzy, I'm not going to disagree with you. This Jazzy says, hi, Gia. Jazzy says this retro feels like the worst retro for you in a long time. I would concur. It has just been awful, both technologically and in other ways. I'm doing a project for Lori right now that requires technology. And I just keep hitting the same, and I had to walk away from it for a hot minute because I thought I'm gonna waste my time trying to tackle this. But also that Mercury in retrograde can be people saying things out of their how they identify from their wounds, things they no longer need, but also it could be people saying things that they regret, or in a way that they regret something, right? And so when we have this really agitating energy, along with, we've had a Pluto Uranus trine now for most of July, since July 13th. I mean, it came into Gemini and went boop. How you doing, Pluto? How you doing? So since mid-July, at least, it has felt like fuckery. And that would probably both be like what we're used to with technology and whatnot, but also it feels like it's showing up because when everybody is working out of the wounds and their identification of their wounds and what they've needed to survive, that's what you needed to survive. It doesn't make you an asshole, and it doesn't make you selfish, and it doesn't make you vain, and it doesn't make you egotistical, and doesn't make you egocentric. It is how you identify to keep yourself safe. So you can't fix something you're actively shaming. Can't fix something you're actively shaming. You cannot fix something that you are actively shaming. You're a Capricorn. Yes, Saturn is the ruling planet of Cap, and your moon is in Virgo, Venus in Pisces, according to your chart, but you have no idea what it means. Well, I'm going to go through the full moon. I wanted to take some time and say, hey, listen, this is happening. And this, when Lori went down a rabbit hole, I mean, I don't know that I would have just been like, okay, it's too far back. She went back and then she researched. Lori, she's amazing. I will never apologize for my swoon over her. Actually, I sent her a Christmas. I sent her a birthday gift. That's a Mercury retrograde. I sent her a birthday gift and I tease her and I call her Mistress Lori. And I forgot that she lives in a really small and I addressed it to her that way. I think like they all know the mailman and everything else. She was like, that's gonna have everybody. I said, well, anything to entertain. I stole a line from a friend's live to serve. Um, but she went down that rabbit hole and there were a lot of changes at that time. You can listen to her podcast if you want to have more information on that. But I want to have everybody as prepared as possible because it's going to feel crunchy and it's going to feel irritating. It's going to feel, and it could feel like, where is this coming from people? Also, I want you to be very extra careful. Do not text and drive. We have a grand trine in fuckery, in air signs, technology. Mercury also, is in retrograde. That rules cars and driving. And we are not texting and driving. We certainly aren't drinking and driving this weekend. And we are not getting in the car with somebody who said, like, I'm good to drive. You're either sober or you're not. No texting and driving. No texting and driving. This is not the weekend to go zip lining. This is not the weekend to go parachuting. Don't get in a hot air balloon, please. I don't care where it is in your chart. The odds are not in our favor for doing risky things this weekend. No, they are not. So let's go through. Does anybody else have any questions about this very interesting, liberating, transforming, disrupting, truthful, re-identifying, claiming who you can be now transit that we are currently having and will be having through the week? Because, that'll move a couple of degrees, but these two are not really, they are slow moving. This is slow moving. This is slow moving right now, Mercury, because it's in retrograde. So this is locked in for maximum effect for a couple of days. Do I have any questions for people who could make the chat about that energy before I get into the 12 houses and the full moon? Speaking of which, I'm drinking moon water. That I've infused with love, quite literally. And then I put it in my body. And that's more scientific than woo-woo. Go look up how water crystallizes and the water, just look up water experiment. Whoever's thinking like that girl is batshit woo-woo. Other people's opinions of me are none of my business. Very nice way to live. And B, it's science. Yeah. Oh, that sounds like a wonderful 14 countries in 5 months. Oh, that's where you were, Gia. Hermit mode for the weekend. Yeah, but don't just hermit, because there are things you hermit and have self-love. Sit with yourself and think, oh, what did I acclimate to? What have I used as a survival tool that I no longer need? Do you have an insurance pot? I'm going to go through 6. I'm going to go through 6 really easy ones that maybe, all right, this is going here. To identify of things that we may be doing that would be like an acclimated, nuanced survival behavior. That we just think is makes good sense because that's how we survived. Okay. 1, what are your insurance policies? What do you low-key do to make sure that you stay lovable, not too much, but enough so that you don't have to go through rejection, heartbreak, abandonment? I'm looking at you, cardinal signs. What are the insurance policies? Do we overgive? Do we make so much room for other people's behavior that feels toxic to us, but we care for them or we understand why they do what they do? So we just keep letting, instead of instead of having boundaries, because a lot of times we, let's be honest, on the internet, what gets a lot of play, what gets a lot of clicks is that fuck you in the house, the horse you rode in on, I'm block you and I'm block you and I'm going to block you. And sometimes the boundary is just, you're great, I'm great. There doesn't have to be a bad guy. At this juncture, we are not for each other, right? Somebody's triggering something else. There doesn't have to be a bad guy and there doesn't have to be a fight for a boundary to be executed. Are you not, because you don't want to be the bad guy? Because You have an insurance policy about making sure you're there for other people because somebody wasn't there for you. Do you have an insurance policy where you want to be the big fish in the way that you can help? You want to be the big fish in your level of knowledge. The more valuable you are, the more value you bring to the table, then that's your insurance policy. And that keeps you from elevating in your own life. That keeps you from moving forward. That keeps you from your own progression because you feel more safe emotionally in a place where you have the most value, whether that's your group of friends, your profession, conversations that you keep with family or whoever else, partnerships. An insurance policy can be, I healed something, but I haven't really gone out in real life with real other humans and tried out my new healed self. That's an insurance policy. I'm aware of it. I did the healing work, and now I'm going to stay in my little bubble, in my little cave. And then your insurance policy is, I don't have to test that out because right now I feel peaceful. Right now I am not in vulnerability or in jeopardy of crashing. So me and my healed self are going to stay to myself, and I don't have to test out relationship on anybody, right? Whether that's friendship, partnership, whatever. Another relationship is, and that just looks like pushing things away. Another insurance policy is pushing things away. So, because if they're so perfect, then as long as I don't have to worry about ruining it or somebody else has to ruin it, it can stay like this. And so it can only get this close, and then I'm going to push it away, right? We all have these insurance policies that are born out of pain, hurt, trauma response. Some of it's from when we're kids. If you haven't felt heard, what is your insurance policy on feeling heard? All of these things could be coming up for everyone. And then getting irritated, like, okay, you think you healed this? Let's irritate the external circumstances, the people in your life, the people that you should be feeling the most support from. You might feel judgment from, and it has nothing to do with you, but you're still feeling it, and it's gonna bring things up. You've been through all of those phases and you got used to it. You put other needs before yours. Finally heal and learn to set boundaries, and you're happy by yourself, right? And that's wonderful. And then, we have this epiphany where I don't need a warm body, right? And we don't need to create, but also, and I'm not saying this is you, but for people who are also there, because there's probably a lot of people that are there, got out of their people pleasing, learned to set boundaries, executed those boundaries. And, but when something intriguing comes in, do we think, I'm not messing this up? Like I absolutely relate to the idea of, you're not competing with anyone else. You're competing with the life that I made myself. If you're going to come in and create chaos to the piece that I worked really hard to create myself and to deconstruct from any kind of codependency, or not feeling, I've never felt for decades, I've never felt like it takes two halves to make a whole. No, bring me a whole ass person to the table, because I'm bringing a whole person to the table, right? And so that is all beautiful. And also, though, when somebody does come in and they do push all the buttons on your Wonka Vader, are you letting it in? Or you're like, nope? Or can we make adjustments? I love what Carol Burnett says. She says that she loved the life that she created, and if she ever got married again, he'd have to live next door. You know, our relationship, it doesn't have to be what society says it needs to look like with that timetable or those living arrangements or whatever, but also just allowing the idea that if the chemistry hits, you will let it back in. So the insurance policy is, if I don't let anyone in, they can't fuck this up because I worked too hard for it. Yeah. Try not react to your own emotions, but in a safe, loving place. It's reacting to other people's stuff right now that I am, this is not the time. I've been saying that for 3 weeks. This is not the time. This is not the week. Last week wasn't the week. The week before that wasn't the week. And next week will kind of maybe be the week. We have a really beautiful full moon in Pisces. If you're in membership, I went over the next 4 moons and what to do about like moon water or crystal charging and what the vibe of. We have a really nice, actually, full moon in Pisces coming up beginning of September. Can I clarify how seeking more knowledge limits you? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's not what I'm saying is, if you stay the big fish in the little pond, then you're the person giving all the advice and you're the person with the most knowledge. People can come to you for that. And so, oh, wonderful, Gia. And so, and that's wonderful. And you probably are getting more knowledge other places, but I'm talking about the rooms you're in, the people you're having the most discussion with. You can limit your growth by making sure you're always the most knowledgeable in the room. If it's creating value on an emotional level so that you don't feel rejected or less than. Hi, Gibbs. Hi, Gibson. Does that make sense? Everybody's at the level of knowledge that they're in. But if you have been trained from childhood to feel like when you are useful or valuable, that is what makes you lovable or less rejectable, less able to be abandoned, less able to be given the importance, the protection, the, only when you're useful. If you have experienced a family dynamic when you're loved, when you can be of service, then you might stay in places where you can give more service than you can get. Oh, I love you back. As an insurance policy so that you are seen as valuable. Yeah, I mean, doing inner child healing, that's why I have that pinned to my email, to my socials, to my website, to YouTube. I don't have a like join membership video pinned, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing that I wanted the most that people could find the easiest was that childhood walkthrough. But you can do the inner child walkthrough and heal stuff, but it's about what we are practicing on a daily basis through our insurance policies that we don't realize are limiting us, and what these transits are here to liberate us from. And because of because there's so much happening right now, it's inner work, and it's going to be hard to ignore the outer stuff and the external relationships that we're in right now. And also everybody is going through it. So all I'm saying is like, when it comes to somebody else, do not look at yourself through the mirror of somebody else's reaction to these transits, just work with yourself on it and be gentle. Anything that is gentle. If you're not following Vida at Rooted Arts, please go do so. She's on YouTube as Rooted Arts. One of my favorite sayings of hers, there's quite a few. Everybody doing the best that they can. I talk about that story all the time. The first time she said that, I heard that from her. But the other is gentle is, is sustainable. That's why it's really hard to heal when we're shaming ourselves. Be gentle with yourself and take small steps. Right. And it's not about whether you're smart or not. It's not about whether you want to be informed or misinformed. It's not about who's going to win the trivia contest. It's not about who is the most knowledge forward, book hungry, any of that. It is that used as a tool of insurance? Because in your training, in your place in life, in your dynamic, in your early environment, did you feel more loved when you were of service and when you were valuable? And does that knowledge equate value and therefore equate safety in relationships? Which is what I should have said to begin with. Okay. All righty. Let me start pulling up. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's not really about more knowledge or less knowledge and how that it's when you won't move into rooms where when you keep relationships that are otherwise maybe triggering you or something else, but you feel valued in that relationship. So it's safety. That's actually it's another form of insecurity, and insecurity is going to be something that's going to come up during Mercury in retrograde in Leo, opposite Pluto, trining Saturn and Neptune, sextiling Uranus, now sextiling the Mars. Insecure doesn't mean you're jealous. Insecure doesn't mean you're a shrinking flower. You can be a big, bold personality and have insecurities. I doubt there's a human alive that doesn't have some form of some sort of something they feel insecure about. That is right. So then where do we feel more secure? And is that security born? Is it allowing toxicity in the name of the safety and security? Okay, I'm going to start pulling up. Feet don't fail me now. All right, I'm going to stop the share. I've learned my lesson. I'm going to stop the share. And I am going to shut down my astrology software real quick. And then open it back up and start fresh with the charts so we don't get caught. Sorry, I just got a message I was not expecting to get. I'm going to allow the interruption. boy. Sorry, I obviously can't say who that was, but yeah. Where's the chat? Somebody I care about a great deal is having a medical emergency, which I unfortunately had on my bingo card for this. So that was an important text from an important person. Okay. Let's see, we should have everything. Let's go to the Zoom. Let's share. Gentle and sustainable and all that, and self-love. You know, somebody might have dropped out watching because that's not entertaining for me to take the lights down and answer a text, but I'm prioritizing what matters most in my life, and I feel like I'm given my time here, and I'm prepared to give a lot of it to be as supportive to this community as possible. So I'm going to allow what I just did without guilt, without worrying how people are going to drop out of the live, whether I'm entertaining a lot enough for this. I don't feel like being fake for views on any level right now. So I'm just not gonna. Let's pull up this Aquarius full moon. Let's look at Aries rising. If you are Aries rising or you are having this in your 11th house. Okay, let me get everything out that should not be out. There we go. Let's make this as easy as possible for everyone to read. Okay. And I use Keto Ecuador because it's going to give you the most even houses. If you are somebody who's just learning astrology and pulling charts, and you're just doing a full moon chart, or you wanting, it's easier in the beginning. I do this because it's easier for the community to read it like this when it's not all different size houses, because I use Placidus. Keto Ecuador is going to get you the most even houses because it's on the equator, because where you are in proximity to the equator is exactly what determines the sizes of your houses in your natal chart. Yeah. Yeah, but I used to have stuff around like, what if somebody stops watching, or what if I am literally giving all of my knowledge, all of my trauma informed, all of my heart, to be honest, because I love this community, all of my compassion, while trying to hold my own boundaries and have my own spiritual hygiene. So if a text comes in from one of the most important people to me, then I'm gonna, and it's important, then I'm gonna tend to it without the guilt. And I appreciate that sentiment, Gia. Okay. So if you are having this in your 11th house, full moons are a time of shed. They are a time of culmination. It is also time to pick the ripe fruit. Now, I know that Mercury is in retrograde. If you are looking at creating content in any way, if you are looking at revamping how you create content, if you don't want to go launch a social media account or start making videos, on the day of the full moon. I might not do it on the full moon, but I would maybe start planning out what are the first 3 videos. I might set up your lighting, set up where you're going to record, figure out how you're most comfortable, pick out your favorite shirts, get this is a time to shed whatever would hold you back from putting yourself in a larger community. Also, if you belong to communities that are no longer supporting, and this means, even though this is not where I would see like high school friends or college friends, wherever your friendship groups are, wherever your online communities, and that includes Facebook, Twitter, wherever, if you, and I'm seeing this a lot, I have a friend that I've had since elementary school, and they were quiet during the last administration of the current sitting president, but this one they're not. And every time they make any kind of post about anything they're unhappy with the current administration, then, you know, how he's an idiot. Somehow this makes him a bad person, and he's being mean to all the people he's been friends with his whole life. And this is not him being able to have public criticism of a sitting authority in a free country where we have the First Amendment. This is him now being a horrible person because anything that he says about this person that they voted for makes him a bad person. In other words, his humanitarian causes, his humanitarian beliefs no longer align with those people. You are going to be looking, people who are Aries rising or anyone having this in the 11th house, you may be looking at what friendships that you no longer align with on a humanitarian beliefs about how human beings should be treated. Obviously, I don't have to be the amazing Kreskin to say that this is probably palpable in a lot of, unless you got rid of all those people 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I would say that this could be a very big theme for anyone having this in the 11th house. Anything that keeps you from starting a more technology, social media, public-based exposure of what you want to do in life and how you need to progress forward, that is something I'd be looking at. I would also be looking at shedding anyone in those friend groups, in those online groups, in those, I don't care if it's where you go painting and they all think it's hilarious that people are getting taken off to Alligator Alcatraz, and have no compassion for or think that due process is like anywhere where you're going, but you've been friends with these people a long time, right? Or they are part of your identity. We all come from the same place. This is where you would be looking at shedding and growing. Let's not forget that the full moon is in the sign of Aquarius, which is about understanding the rules and then understanding where we need to liberate from them, understanding where we need to break them when they're no longer working in the name of moving forward and not being stuck. The one constant in life is change. Don't forget also that Pluto is in your 11th house right now, which is, it can be, it is progression. So some people will say, oh, it's the houses of hopes and dreams or long-term plans. It can be long-term plans, but really what it is where are you looking at progressing? What is aligning with how life would best suit you? And what are you doing to meet the calibration and the moving forward into that more aligned life? If you are also having this in the 11th house right now, you're pulling money. You are getting new resources and resources you're responsible from Venus, which is conjunct with Jupiter right now, which is really beautiful in the 4th. So this, I'm going to double down. If you do anything and life has changed. I just had a wonderful, lovely, I loved her to death. I had a new client about 2 weeks ago. That's a real estate agent. That's a very in-person physical job, but real estate agents are really doing well for themselves on the internet right now. It's different. It is a full moon in Aquarius. It's time to look at what is antiquated in thought process around how you move forward in your life for all of the signs. With your house of resources and monetary resources being ruled by Venus, which is in this gorgeous hug with Jupiter, both in Cancer, and it being in that 4th house of home, we really want to look at how can we work from, what else can we do from home? What's holding us back from making more creative videos, or just making videos, making content, and plan it, right? We're deconstructing what keeps us and we're reconstructing, have a plan for the reconstruction. Okay, let's look at, well, all of a sudden I got hella hungry. I made homemade Cheez-Its the other day, and I made them gluten-free and sugar-free and dairy-free, and they were so fucking good. They were actually nutritious, and I ate them all too quick, and I am sad. Okay. Taurus rising. Or, yeah, you live 15 minutes from the White House. Sorry, Taurus, hold on. You're sick. Well, I'm sick of politicians. Politics is what is responsible for the legislation and how we are allowed to live our lives, how we can take care of our loved ones. And so I try to separate the politicians from from the governance, right? I'm not happy with the governance we're receiving, but governance, we can have so much more say in our governance. Everybody should be running for, like, whether it's school council. If the one thing, this crazy, insane clown show of a Fox personality wrestling guy's wife fucked up administration has taught us is anyone can run for anything. Anybody can run for anything. We just need more real regular people running for small offices until we get to a different place, which we will. You love Cheez-Its. I love my homemade Cheez-Its. I make them with Parmesan and extra sharp cheddar, and then I put nutritional yeast on them too, which is like cheesy, and then they're Himalayan salt. They're so good. And then I make myself like a watermelon, lemon, ginger with all the fresh fruits with my electrolyte mix. I make myself like a cooler, like a watermelon cooler, lemon lime. It's so good with my homemade Cheez-Its. I don't wait for other people to make I make the fancy stuff for me. If you are Taurus rising and you are having this in the 10th house, or you're having this in the 10th house, it's 17 degrees. So if your Taurus rising is past 17 degrees, you are probably not having it in the 10th house. So just look to see where you have 17 degrees of Aquarius. And if anybody needs help with that, let me know and I will just pull up a chart and show you how you can tell where it is. If this is happening in your 10th house, you could be experiencing something happening with your calling, not just job, not where you go every day and the stuff you do when you go there every day, or whether you're doing that from home and the stuff that you do every day from home, but your calling. There could be an ask to shed. What at home holds you back from moving into the calling? Now, obviously money, right? We can't go just jump into our dream job if it's not sustainably paying our bills right now. But how do you need to progress in your calling so that you're living your sweet spot of life? Also, when we have a full moon in the 10th house, there is lots of visibility for us. I always say, anyone having a 10th house full moon, although we can't control what other people will say about us, and if you know, you know, I have had a Cancer full moon where somebody had a ball on their page about me. It gave me lots of visibility. I already had my transmutation set up, so it grew my business. So win-win. I was not crashing out on my own page and looking petty and awful and telling lies. I was reaping the rewards of my transmutations and the visibility in my career. It grew my channel. Absolutely. Grew everything. Right. And it shed what I no longer needed. It wasn't a help. It was a tether. So look at where you are tethered, that you don't need it anymore, in that 10th house of reputation, of calling. This is how you're known. This is how you're known. Right. And it doesn't, I'm not saying people can't say whatever they want about you, regardless of what you're actually doing or not doing. But I am saying, if you're doing anything that you've been trying to completely keep a secret, we have Mars activating that Saturn and Neptune in retrograde in Aries right now. And a 10th house full moon, it definitely gives you exposure. And so either stand 10 toes down and let go of antiquated shame. So somebody found out that you, I don't know, did something for yourself that other people would consider selfish. That's a them problem. And so we're just going to own whatever attention we're getting for that, for our authenticity. It doesn't matter if other people like it or not, as long as you can own it in your authenticity. I hope that makes sense, because I don't want to have everybody that's having a 10th house full moon make them feel like somebody is going to come along and try to say something that was private or was meant to be private about you. What I'm saying is that there is most likely exposure to who you are, what you bring to the table, and reputation could come up. Reputation, as long as you own everything, can't really affect you, because we can't be in control of what other people want to think about us or what they say about us. The only thing we can do is own, right? So this means, like, maybe you had a marriage breakup 10 years ago, and part of that breakup was that you actually stepped out because that old part of you didn't want to break up your kids, parents didn't want to, but you were both living separate lives, but it looks like you were the bad person or something. And this comes up now because somebody wants to shame you with it. Don't let anyone shame you for something that the old unhealed version of you did. And if it's out and out garbage, then don't respond. This isn't the weekend to respond anyway. But more likely you are shedding anything. Think about the star card. Think about Aquarius being, again, progression, like a beautiful bouquet of balloons moving you forward. That was so corny. I can't even believe I said it. I hate myself for saying that. Just kidding. We don't shame ourselves here. And whatever's in that fourth house may be tethering you to your sanctuary, your security, right? Which also has to do with everything we talked about prior to the houses, because of the other astrological event happening right now. What is tethering you from moving forward and reaching your calling? Any questions about the 10th house? Let's get Gemini. I made spanakopita in rice paper, like a pinwheel the other day, like a ton of fresh dill and parsley. And I know it's in my refrigerator, just waiting to be heated and ate up. Now, the more I think about it, the hungrier I'm getting. Gemini rising, or people that are having this after 17 degrees of a Taurus rising. So if you're late Taurus rising, or 0 to 17 degrees of Gemini rising, or if you're just having this in the 9th house. This is very interesting. So this is belief systems. This is also possibly what is tethering you to your the area that makes the area in life, early friends, early education, early environmental circumstances. That could be geographically. Let's look at, and I really always talk about the 9th house being that Jupiter expansion, and we have to make sure that we're not being tethered by those 3rd house early beliefs, indoctrination, and education. I see 3rd house as early indoctrination because that is, you're told this is how you are a good girl, this is how you are a bad girl, this is how you are a good student, this is how you're a bad student, this is how you're a cool kid in the neighborhood and you get to have friends, this is how you're not a cool kid in the neighborhood and you don't get to have friends, this is how you get along with your siblings because this is their personalities, right? So we're not saying you're indoctrinated, everybody's indoctrinated in their early childhood because their parents are wackos or anything else. We're saying that you'll be there in 9 hours. Come on over, Gibson. But that it's still what we're taught is right or wrong before we grow our own individual way of thinking, till we go get outside education, till we go pursue our own mindset and go pursue life, go see life and experience for ourselves and create our own belief system. So when we have a full moon in the 9th third, to me, it is always very, very indicative of what do I need to maybe shed that I'm tethered to that is keeping me from my growth. Don't forget this 9th house is Jupiterian, it's magnification, it's growth, it's opportunity. So where am I being tethered by early environment pressures or indoctrination that I feel obligation to, or I feel, right? Because a lot of times too, those early environment indoctrinations of like That could be where you've lived your whole life or have an attachment to like your old neighborhood, but it's holding you back some way, somehow. Um, this could also be somebody completing a degree. This could also be somebody completing a degree, getting new training, upgrading their training. If you are struggling, feeling like you can't tie down a like money is being weird right now, or the way the stream of income is being inconsistent, or you're getting sick of the way that you're creating your constant resources, things may be liberated for you this weekend that will give you a way to redo that, or it just could become more steady after the 13th. I'm not going to do the whole like old job, new job, love, romance thing, because there is enough to just deal with the full moon and the other things going on. Yeah, I grew up in New York. I love Greek food. And when you move out of New York, you learn how to make all of the good foods that you could just get in 5 minutes. You name it, I probably can cook it at this point. And if I can't, then please challenge me, because I love nothing more than a good old challenge. Hence why I'm an astrologer. I like all them the hard math, in the words of Tom Hanks from League of Their Own. You know, it's the hard that makes it so good. If it wasn't hard, everybody would do it. So yeah, you could be celebrating also finishing a training that is moving you forward. You could be starting, letting go of something so that you can start a new training, new education. If you had been sitting on the fence about like, I'm too old to go back to school or change what I know, or this is release, and something may get released for you so that you can, because that 9th house supports the 10th. The 9th house is a Caden house. It is there in support of the 10th of that angle. That's so important. And if you are in membership and then you have watched the whole house series, you know what I'm talking about. So the education, the training, the belief systems, the upgrading, the magnification, the opportunity, the Jupiterian, the growth, all supports us walking into our calling and what we leave behind when we're no longer physically here. That is what is on deck, and that is really beautiful. Not so shabby. That is for Gemini 0 to 17 and Taurus 17 to 29 degrees, or anybody else having it in the 9th. Cancer, which is sign? I'm a Cancer. Cancer rising. Got a couple of those in my house. Well, I got one of them. This is happening probably in your 8th. Again, I will be wrapping myself, because this happens in one of my children's 8th house. So I had really weird injuries. You guys probably can't see that. I don't know if you can see my finger. I had a very rare, benign, but painful thing happen to me, weirdly, on Monday. I almost choked today. So I'm like, I will be drinking water. I will not be eating unless I'm attended to. And I will be wrapped in bubble wrap this weekend. But yeah, this Cancer rising, you could be having this in your 8th. Also, if you are 17 to 29 degrees of Gemini rising also happening. So I have 2 children that have this in their 8th house. So I'm going to be extra careful because I am their moon. I'm supposed to be here till I'm 102, so nobody worry. And I got transmutations in case somebody's hoping or cheering. I'm a Gen Xer with Pluto on my ascendant. I have a very dark sense of humor. Okay. If you're having this in the 8th house, guess what? This could be money coming in. This could also be deep emotional transformation. This is also resources. The 8th house is other people's money. This is how money comes in. Yes, it could be debt, but if you know that you're good with your debt, then that's probably not what this is. This is more likely, where can you create? Where are you so stuck in the Nikki? Yeah, always when I'm on a live. Nicholas. This is possibly for you. Sorry. Nikki, stop that, honey. You're not alone. Yeah, no, you're not alone. You probably can't hear him because of the Zoom, but he's doing his, oh, but he's like 5 feet away from me. He does it to make me feel guilty because I'm paying attention to all of you instead of him. It's a problem. Any way that you are tethered to the mindset of like, this is where I talk about, please watch the code switching video if you're in membership. This is where we talk about like money mindset. If you need to have more resources, streams of income, just money come into your home, the idea that you can't do that unless it is in exchange for your time and labor. I know that sounds crazy. It's none of your fucking business how universe wants to get your money to you. That is your mantra for this full moon. Just let the money come in. Second house is your own toil and labor and time to bring the resource in. 8th house is other people's money. That's client. That doesn't mean you're stealing. It's clients. It's partner, right? So money could come in some way, somehow, for you in this full moon. Could you get a surprise bill? Maybe, but with the Aquarius moon, it's more likely to be surprised something. That the important thing is, if money comes in, how are you going to use it to progress yourself? If money comes in here, I would not be spending it on things, even if there are things that like your couch is falling apart and you just said this lets you buy a new couch. I would put it into something that's going to make more money, because this is also the house of investments. I hope you heard me. I don't care if it's 20 bucks, if it's 2,000, 20,000, 200,000. The difference in mindset between wealthy people and average people is how the money gets looked at. Money is used as a little soldier to go out and make more money. That is the wealthy people mindset. Average people is, oh, thank God, this is relief. Now I can pay off this debt. I can go get this thing. We needed this. We've needed that. We haven't been able to get it, right? Which is feels normal. But what you want to do is reserve a majority. If you get 20 bucks, you want to put $18 towards doing something that will bring more money in, and so on and so on. That's amazing. PhD in psychology is awesome. Past life regression and hypnotherapy. You get my humor. Yeah. Yeah. Wondering if you're studying, Dolores Cannon has some great work under her belt and some really helpful research and past life regression therapies, and she learned a lot. I don't believe in the new earth. I believe that is spiritual hierarchy, and that is caste system in a toxic spiritual way, but her research is amazing, and other things are about her are amazing, and Michael Newton, and I'm so sure you know who those people are, but all very interesting to check out. I hate that her legacy is going to be the new earth when it really, I think that was towards the end of her life. Who knows if there was like a touch of spiritual psychosis there in the end, but it doesn't negate her good works. Okay. If you are also, if you're Cancer rising, just, and you have proximity to your mom, you're going to just take extra good care of your mom. You would have to have more aspects. And let me just say this, if you're Cancer rising and this is happening in your 8th house, we all know the 8th house, the moon is mom. You would literally have to have some other really, really strong aspects, or else it would, like, it doesn't make sense, because we have a full moon in Aquarius every year. Every full moon in Aquarius is not going to make somebody lose their mom. We would, obviously, with the accident prone thing, just make sure like mom is not trying to go to boogie bingo or anything else if she's already, her health is fragile. But it does not, an 8th house full moon does not mean you're going to lose your mom. I actually had somebody tell me I was going to lose my mom when my mom was medically fragile and I was having a moon in the 8th house, and I didn't. I did not. So, she lived for a much longer time. So I want to make sure that we're not doing that thing where we worry every time there's a full moon. I was making sardonic jokes, but I have other reasons to wrap myself in bubble wrap in my chart this weekend. Leo risings. Oh gosh, is anyone taking timestamps for me? I was so like, how am I gonna? April, my love, so happy you're back. You've been watching her video lately? Dolores, I love her book, Between Life and Death. That really helped me to be able to do hospice work for my parents and hold their hand through their transition. I'm just not on board with the new earth and the separation, and some people get left behind and some people get to ascend. That is all higher, like that's toxic spirituality. I won't know. I wasn't in her life, but I would think that's spiritual psychosis. Gibson, what did you just do? Oh my goodness. That was so, so generous. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I'm putting that towards my health, because that is my investment right now. I am putting that right towards my supplementation budget, which is the one thing that's been helping me. And I'm having professional lymphatic work, and it's been life-changing. That is so beautiful. Thank you so much. Dolores, but you're basing mine. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Her book, Between Life and Death. Guys, you do not have to. I feel like the pretty girl in the club and you're all making it rain. That's very generous. Thank you. You guys don't have to do that. Thank you so much, though. I don't want to be not appreciative to the people that just super chatted. But also, like, I don't want anyone else to feel like this is what we do during these. But thank you so much. It's very, very appreciated. I felt like a hug. And lately I could use a hug. Thank goodness I live with 2 Tauruses. So thank you, Gibson. But yes, there's good value to be found in Dolores Cannon's work. Her later stuff is toxic, and it's such a shame to me, because that's probably the thing that people remember the most. Okay, so let's look at this Leo rising. If you are Leo rising, you could be having this in your 7th house. This does not mean you are going to break up with your partner. Don't forget, the full moon is for picking ripe fruit. The fruits of your labors are ready to be celebrated. Where, this could be contractual. The 7th house is house of contractual relationships and the house of other. Marriage was contractual. It was always legal. It was always, and back in the day when these subject matters were assigned, there is nothing romantic or even kind of lovey-dovey about that. Is not where we find the love in the chart, is the 7th house. That is where partnership, contractual, and that doesn't mean you have to get married in the state through the government's eyes anymore. That just means you have a commitment to each other. Maybe you have contracts on where you're living together. This also could be business partner contracts. This also could be clients that are under contract. But it is the house of other and how we reflect ourselves through others and how that reflection looks back at us. So, shedding anything where we focus on other, especially with that sun in Leo, where we're focusing on others that, again, hold us back from the progress that Aquarius wants for us and asks of us. We could be all the way from Cincinnati. There's a flame of love and gratitude zooming my way. You know how to turn a phrase, Gibson. This full moon in the 7th house could end a contract that it's time to end, or it could be shedding what was tethering you, where you gave too much, where it was holding you back in contractual and committed relationships. Also, a full moon in the 7th house can be an engagement party, a celebration of a commitment. Full moons are, if you're going to launch a business digitally, I'm going to look for Mercury. I'm going to look for how that 11th house looks. If you are planning a party about opening your new celebrating, then I'm probably looking for a full moon. Right. So this could be celebration of any kind of a contract too, but look at where you were also possibly giving too much of yourself to others, or only look at the reflection of yourself through others rather than sitting with yourself as your form of navigation through life. We need the mirror, but sometimes it's just to bring things to our awareness. We don't have to be what other people need us to be. If that goes against your non-negotiables, if that is opposite of the direction you are going in life, right? So we could be losing somebody that feels like partner in here, but we could be gaining ourselves, which is the most important thing. Also, you know, contracts ending. This could be like your lease is up in your for your car and you're so happy because you won't have that payment anymore. Let's look at now, don't forget, this is 17 degrees of Cancer to 29 degrees and 0 to 17 degrees of Leo rising, or if you are just having that in the seventh house. Okay, now we're going to look at Virgo rising, but we were also looking at 17 to 29 degrees of Leo rising and the first 0 to 17 degrees of Virgo. So for myself, I'm a very late Virgo. This will not be happening in my sixth house. I'm having this in the fifth. So make sure you're looking at your degree as I'm talking about this. And if you're really close to, if you're really far away from the equator in either direction, your houses are going to be askewed and you may have intercepted houses. You're just going to look for where 17 degrees is. So this is if you are having 17 degrees of Aquarius in the sixth house, or you are late Leo rising, or 0 to 16 degrees, 59 minutes of Leo, of Virgo. Then this is happening in your sixth house. This is self-refinement. This is also, believe it or not, this is really about the concentration or the balance, because full moons are about finding the sweet spot, right? This is the balance between your physical and mental health and how that's connected, and how are we, if I was having this, one of the things I would look at and examine is what ways could I support my mental health through my physical care? And are there any ways that I'm neglecting my mental health through neglect of my physical care? Because I'm not prioritizing it, because I'm prioritizing being a support person to everybody else. The sixth house is so slept on, but one of the things the sixth, and if you have a sixth house sun, I have a person close to me who's a sixth house sun, and I live to serve, which I stole from them and said to Lori the other day about the entertaining fodder for conversation about me addressing her birthday present as Mistress Lori. But that would be right on brand for a sixth house sun. If you have strong sixth house placements too, this probably, you might relate to this, but if you're having this in the sixth house, looking at where you put other people's mental health support, all of that first, over your own wellness and self-refinement. What needs to shed so you can progress in your own self-refinement. Now, also, if you're having this could be, you could have a job move out of your way so a better one could come in. You can have a job moving out of your way. And I think this applies to our lovely Zoe. I would have to look at her chart. And also the applying energy is a lot of the time. So people may be already experiencing their full moon subjects in their houses already, even though we're not at the full moon completely. So in that fifth house, really, we want to look and see if we are creating insurance policy to make sure we're being supportive to others, and in what way we are neglecting our own progress, our own self-refinement. But also this could be celebration of the ending of a health crisis as well. So if you are somebody that's been working on something with your health, you could end up getting good news. I would say especially Saturday, Sunday, Monday. concerning your health and have something to really celebrate, which is also lovely. But we want to look at the balance between the physical and the mental health here. Those of you who have pets, if you're having a full moon in the 6th house, if you have pets that you let outside, I would not let the pets outside this weekend. I'm just saying. I would keep my pets in bubble wrap a little bit. And just if they seem to be having any issues or whatever, I would pay attention to that for this full moon. Let's look at Libra rising. Now, if you are 0 to 16 degrees and 59 minutes of Libra, this is you. If you are also 17 degrees to 29 degrees, there we go. There we go. I'm just going to tell you because I know the second I put up that buy wheel, it's going to shut me down. So I'm just going to tell you where it's happening. If you are late, Zoe, what is your degree? I thought you were earlier Virgo than me. April, I'm just so glad you're here with us. Let me know what, I know there's a delay. Let me know what degree you are of your Virgo rising. I thought you were earlier than me. So this is if you are, oh, and it's not, this is the one that does it to me every time because it says Libra rising and it's not. There it goes. I should have just shut it down. I should have just shut it down and restarted it. That's what I'm going to do from now on when I get to, and I fixed this a million times, but okay. We're going to stop the share. I'm going to grab the chat. I'm going to go through the rest of the 12. Oh, I remember how to do this. Hold on. There's a way to get out of this, and I just can't remember what it is. But I will fix it. But let's not us waste any more time. I'm looking for the chat. There we go. Wow, Gia. I had a year where I lost 5. in 10 months. It was crazy. So big hugs to you for that. Yeah, it really helps with grief, learning all of that. Oh, no, 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 Zoe, your English is beautiful. I can't pull up your there we go. I can't pull up your chart right now. I will in a second. I could have sworn you were earlier though, but maybe not. All right. So if you are Libra rising or late Virgo, this is happening in your 5th house. This is the subjects of risk, children, reproductive health, opportunity, but this is also where it drains you. And this is like the house of Leo, right? So this is also romance. If a romance is not aligning for you right now, or some part of being in this romantic relationship that's not yet committed, needs to shed or move on to commitment or move away from commitment. These are all subjects that could come up. I would not react or do anything about romantic attachments this weekend. Don't forget, people are working out of their wounds. People are working out of their triggers right now. The energy could feel agitating or irritating. And so, somebody could be triggered, pushing you away, too clingy, a million different things right now that would, if you're having this in that 5th house, that could feel like it's detrimental to the romance, like there might be an ending. It could just be shedding a part of the way that you all exchange in that 5th house. There could be something that needs to be shed with the way you exchange with children or your relationship, the dynamic between you. It doesn't mean your children are going to cut you off. There could also be reproductive health stuff. If you are trying to get pregnant right now, this is a good, it's a good transit for it. And if you're not trying to get pregnant right now, be advised, you might be a little fertile myrtly right now. The other thing is that if you are taking a big risk right now for something like really risky, it might not go well in this 5th house with a full moon, or you're going to find out what part of it isn't going to work. The problem is if it's a big risk, kind of finding out what needs to be adjusted if you've risked a lot and it just doesn't go well the first time is something we don't want to have to experience. So again, and I cannot say this enough, with Uranus, Pluto, and Mars in a trine opposite Saturn and Neptune, sextiling the Mercury in retrograde, this weekend is not the weekend to go gambling for anyone, but especially if you are 17 to 29 degrees of of Virgo rising, or 0 to 17 of Libra rising. No casino for you. No zip lining for you. Don't get in a hot air balloon. Don't go parasailing. Nothing that's risky. No jumping out of a plane. Nothing that's risky. Okay. No weird investments. No, don't, Ryan from The Office, I'm going to take your $50 and turning into 5,000. Please invest in Wolf. No financial no, nothing. We won't be doing any of that this weekend, especially. Careful of pregnancy if you don't want to be pregnant. If you are trying to get pregnant, it's a good weekend for you. As far as kids go, if there is a way that you are parenting or communicating with a child that is no longer working for them, this could be a weekend where that subject comes up, right? Or if a grown child needs help, that could also come up. So we're having children risk, also it's very brown chicken, brown cows. So like you might have a hot, steamy exchange with somebody if you are late Virgo rising or early Libra. But again, you could also feel like there's a romantic connection ending this weekend. I'm going to say don't react and don't do anything and don't have the conversations until midweek next week, and then relook at everything again. Okay. That was Libra rising. I'm just going to say Scorpio rising. Okay, if you are early Scorpio rising, or so 0 to 17 degrees of Scorpio, or you are 17 degrees too, you're really going to have to look because it might be falling on a cusp if you are at 17 degrees of rising sign for any of these. But if you're Scorpio rising, let's see if I can get my software back up. Without it being problematic. Did I do it? Do it, lady. Now that's gonna make me think of Kate forever. I did it. Hold on. I will conquer. Very Colin Firth in Pride and Prejudice, if you know. You know, you know. And let's bring up. Much better with the visuals. Okay. If you are Scorpio rising from 0 to 17 degrees, or you are late Libra 17 to 29 degrees, you're going to have to double check cusps if you're right around 17 degrees of any rising. This is going to happen in your fourth. This is matters of home. This is this could be moving. This could be also celebration of a parent. This also is shedding what no longer works in the family or home dynamic. Okay, because it's in Aquarius 2 and it's in our home base, and even if it's Aquarius isn't running your fourth house, we still have Saturn running your fourth house. We also want to be very careful about like leaving a stove on, leaving candles on, if you're going to light any candles and do any cool full moon stuff. I'm not doing anything in this. I will not be doing anything in this. Late Saturday, I'll come on to membership and do some like meditation, some holding space, check in if everybody's okay, just have like a live stream with everybody where if anybody wants to vent or talk, maybe I'll make it a Zoom so it's private. It's not even on YouTube. Just hold space for each other. That's probably what I'll do. So look, if you are a member, look out in your email in the next 24 hours, 36 hours for a Zoom invite. You know, because it's going to be a weekend. But other than that, nope, I'm not putting anything out in this full moon. But if you're having it in your fourth, we're also going to be aware of like winds. If you're having high winds in your area, it is either way that your house is run, either if it's being run by Capricorn, it's Saturn, or it's, run by Aquarius, it's Saturn. If it's like 15 degrees of Aquarius, where your cusp is, whichever planet, whichever sign is on that fourth house cusp, it's if you're having it in the fourth house, it's going to be a Saturnian, and Libra Mars is going to be in opposition of that Saturn and Neptune. So we're going to be very fire safety conscious, and also like if it's windy, because of like accidents and stuff like that, if you have one of those big umbrellas in your backyard, if you have furniture that isn't, so it doesn't go into a neighbor's yard or damage or hit a window or anything like that, I would just be extra careful if you're having this in the fourth house. Subjects around mom, tweaking to how we communicate with moms could also come up, or mother figures. This could also be celebrating an offer on a house, selling of a house. There's also celebratory tones always in a full moon. But this is how we move ahead also. For some of you, this could be ending working at home for a while and you're ready to get back out into the workforce. Also, you can financially benefit or feel an opportunity come in. Scorpio risings actually have a really nice, the rewards you reap may be financial, because you are having, I don't know what that's for. You are having that beautiful Venus and Jupiter affect your house of money. Okay, let's pull in Sagittarius rising. So that's an extra added benefit for my lovely Scorpio risings. I love a Scorpio rising. We have quite a few in membership. Sagittarius rising. Okay, we're close to home base. And then I'm going to grab a snack. And then if members want to hang out and have a little mini chart read, I can do that. For nerd and gratitude members, that's your extra perks. If you are late Scorpio rising, or 0 to 17 degrees of Sagittarius rising, you're having this in the third house, right? So this, yep. Yeah, you may be having this in your eighth. You may be having this in your eighth, April, with your Cancer rising. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember your degree right off the top of my head. If you are 25 degrees, you're probably going to be having this in the second house. That's correct, Gibbs. But if you are late Scorpio, 17 to 29, or 0 to 17 degrees of Sagittarius rising, you're having this full moon in the third house of your voice, also of contracts, cars. Could be time to get a new car. I just wait until Tuesday. Will be a little easier. If you're in the middle of Mercury retrograde and you need a new car, go get your new car. You're just going to have somebody else double check the deal, the loan, triple check everything you're signing, that kind of stuff. You still have to do things during Mercury in retrograde. But since we are so close to the end of it, like literally the full moon is at between it's around, I think, 3 something in the morning on the Eastern time, or in the middle of the night. It's in the middle of the night for all of United States. And so and then it goes direct within like 36 hours. So if something happens to your car, wait the extra couple of days. It's going to be for gratitude and nerd. I'm pretty sure that you are in one of those, Zoe. But I will probably read who's ever on if you want to try to hop back in about a half of 20 minutes. Yeah, that's what I got. Again, Lori's software pulls it up as 3:30 in the morning for Eastern, so I don't know what that's about. But yeah, if you're having car problems, just wait. Again, if it was happening, if you're having car problems in the middle of Mercury, go get your, if you need a new car, go get a new car. But this could be traveling stuff. I would avoid local traveling or being extra, extra, extra careful about local travel with this in the third house. This also could be with the full moon and the shedding some of our communication and also our mindset. If you're having this in the third house and you have access to membership, please go watch the whole mindset shifting, code switching video for how we speak to ourselves and how much that affects us. And that is science right from NASA. This is how people are programmed and deprogrammed. It's science. It's not woo-woo. I would be looking at how my mindset is tethering me at all to a belief system that is antiquated and does not progress me at this point. You could also be writing. You could be starting a writing project and you could be finishing up a writing project with this. I'm not going to lie. There could be sibling stuff that comes up. There could also be how your voice is how your way of communicating. If you've done a lot of work on yourself, and I feel like if you're hearing my voice, you've done a lot of work on yourself, right? So how the way that you now communicate, because it is the newer healed version of yourself, makes other people feel like you think you're too good for yourself, or makes other people feel less than, and they have an adverse reaction to the way that you communicate now because it's different. And looking at where you need to shed people that have been around a while but refuse to grow, and holding yourself back for them for the way that you communicate, the way that you think. Any of that may need to be looked at and shed for sure. If you have Saturn on your, if you've got Capricorn on that second house cusp and you have any legal issues coming and there's monetary there's money involved in any way, shape, or form, this could go very, very well for you. If there's been a missing truth or a missing piece of information that is helpful to you, that could come out in this full moon, and that would be for your benefit, which is a fun little part of that. Let's look at our Cap rising, and then we just have two more. Okay, and let's put that with the Aquarius full moon. If you are late Sagittarius after 17 degrees to 29 degrees of Sagittarius, or you are 0 to 17 degrees of Capricorn rising, you are probably having this in your second house. Please don't worry that this means that like money is going to fly out of your second house. When we have a full moon, we can actually be reaping the rewards of our labors. Money can be coming in during a full moon. Even though a full moon is shedding, it is also celebrating the work we already put in. So if you are somebody who's been putting in work without seeing results, this is when you can see results. I always say that I'm very, very lucky because I've had two beautiful careers in this lifetime, and in both I had the instant gratification of somebody saying thank you, getting a good review. My old one, it would be like a hug, or I've had people get emotional. I get gratitude and I get feedback a lot. Some people have jobs where some people have jobs where they don't get the feedback. This is when you would probably be getting the feedback of your value. And any place that you're not being given feedback and you're tirelessly putting in effort with no appreciation at all, and it is your job, it is your, you might be looking at adjusting that. Are we in Cappy now? If you are 20 degree of Capricorn rising, then this is happening in your first house, my love. It'll happen just inside your first house. If you're 20, or not just inside your first house, it'll be happening probably in your first house, depending on where you were born, wherever you have 17 degrees of Aquarius. But if you are a 20 degree Capricorn, you're most likely having it in the first. The other thing that we really want to look at when we're having a second house full moon is, what are we valuing and what don't we value anymore? What is holding us back? What does our value system look like, especially around humanitarian beliefs, or especially around our own progression? You know, because Aquarius is a full moon of progression and full moons are for shedding, it gives a little bit more shed to that full moon of what is tethering us from keeping us moving forward. And the second house is how we want to see value, how we value ourselves, what else we value in this life. And so adjustments where that is necessary in your life, wherever it is holding you back, is on the table. But truly, there could be financial appreciation, or just being told your value, or knowing that you're ready to move forward. Like if things are being expected of you and you're doing the same thing and you're not feeling appreciation or value in it, we could be looking at how we untether and move forward. Hello, Syra. Okay. If you are late Capricorn, or 0 to 17 degrees of Aquarius, This is happening in your first house. Let's get that up. Okay. And then let me get my Yes. Yes, I love that. Gibson said, let me pull up the chat. It will be a spiritual mirror moment for her, reminding her that art is her voice and it also is her gift. I love that. And also, where are you being valued? Like, right? And like where you can shed what's not valuing you in your life. Like if somebody doesn't really value your presence, if it's just helpful when it's helpful, when it's just right, um that being looked at as well. And I love that you're looking at it as shifting your resources and also reminding you that it is your voice and your gift. I 100% agree with that. If you are Aquarius rising 0 to 17 degrees of Aquarius, or you are 17 to 29 degrees of Capricorn rising, you are having this in your first house. This is about you. Put your oxygen mask on first. Where are you being drained and where are you being enlivened? And also where are, where are you progressing? This also was really helpful. If I was having this in my first house, I would for sure be looking at what is my understanding of my physical body and how it responds to food. And what is my current understanding of what is in food, what I have resistance to, what newer information is available that we did not have. If I was having this in the first house, I would be going out of my way to research Aquarius. There is a list of foods that they even in the United States they put on, it's like not food. And so this is your physical body. We're going to be extra careful with our physical body, but I would also look in how is my physical body being held back by antiquated information around what I'm putting in my body. I know the sixth house is health, but the first house is also physical body, also identity. How do I identify when Uranus goes through the first house? Hello, beautiful Tanya. When Uranus goes through the first house, or we're having a Uranian run lunation go through the first house, it is time to look at what we need to be liberated from in our identity, our existence, how we are enlivened, how we are drained, all of it. But we also could have some habits that are ready to get that we used to have because we needed them for survival and identity, and now we don't. That's why with the habits in there, that's why I'm saying looking at food, our food habits, because it will affect our physical body. A full moon in the first house is also a great time to lose weight through looking at what is the newest information I have available to me, what is antiquated that I'm basing my health and my physical self around. This is also honestly a great time for a tattoo, a piercing, making your hair a fun color. I might not cut my hair, but yeah, uh, I if anybody else's opinion has been holding you back, what others will think of you has been holding you back from a tattoo. Doesn't have to be a big one, but But this might be, especially if it feels like it moves you forward and identifies you and marks you as I march to the beat of my own drummer. And if you just like tattoos, then anytime is a good time to go get a tattoo. But if this has been something you've been on the fence with, I would just really, 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 I would not go get that tattoo until maybe like Tuesday. When did you get your hair cut? Today? You can get it. Like if you're going, right? If you're not sure about cutting your hair all off, I might not do it as a reaction now. But if you're just going to get regular haircut maintenance, that's different. Same Gia, but I have one that I want. I have that I want. I'm like, I have a tattoo that I want. Yeah, it would start here and wrap around my body and then go around anywhere where maybe my kids left marks. I had gigunda children. So yeah, I would want it to like literally wrap around me like a vine or a snake, but be like really pretty. When I'm ever going to start that, I don't know. And can I start that? I don't know until I completely kind of get rid of all of my long COVID triggers, which I'm really hardcore working on right now. I don't know that I could because my body might perceive that as injury and go into a whole shutdown. So I might safely try the tiniest little tattoo and see how my body is like, whether it's like, what the fuck, or like, yes. So I'm really, really working on a lot of stuff so I don't live under the shadow of my long COVID triggers, which are very sensitive, too many, and severe right now. But we're moving in a more progressive direction. So yeah, I would want it to like come from the one ear and like go around. All right. If you are Pisces rising, my beautiful Pisces risings. Now, if you are late Pisces rising, you're going to pay attention to that first Aries moon, right? If you are if you are 17 to 29 degrees of Pisces rising, you're actually going to watch the Aries rising. The first one I did. But if you are late Aquarius, 17 to 29 degrees of Aquarius rising, or 0 to 17 degrees of Pisces rising, this is your new moon, full moon in Aquarius forecast. You're having this in the 12th house. This is super psychic. We also really, we could be coming into our gifts even stronger if you already have your gifts going. The other thing that could be happening with Pisces rising, especially like early Pisces rising, having this in the 12th, you could be getting really sick of your hospital, government building, any institution, anything that can be considered an institution. If that is where you are working, you could just be like, this is draining me, don't want to do this anymore. We want to be really extra gentle with our mental wellness, and that is not a stigma. If I'm saying mental wellness, that means anybody's like overthinking, because if we have mutable angles, we always want to be careful about, we want to ground and make sure we're not so much in our head that it can go away with us with like all the different elaborations of how things could go wrong. I would be so good and get yourself a supportive, encouraging buddy for this full moon, to remind you what a wonderful, beautiful person you are. And I would prioritize, like, if stuff is crazy out in the public, I would prioritize um my own grounding and my own mental wellness over consuming news, whether it's legitimate, reportings or not. But this is, you could also have a video go viral if you're already doing social media. With this full moon, with this Pisces rising, but you could really feel super tired with this as well. You could just feel, either with the having it in the 6th or the 12th. I will stand 10 toes down. I've said this my whole life. Emotionally or mentally exhausted is the worst, most extreme kind of tired. I 100% believe that. So whether you're having this in the 6th or the 12th, you could just feel an extreme exhaustion that doesn't even make sense. Again, if you are in membership, we did a whole thing on your lunar phase and your progressed phase. But one of the things we talked about in the lunar phase is, if you are like a new, a crescent, or a balsamic, you may feel more tired during a full moon, where some people feel really like perked up and can get a lot done during a full moon. If they are closer, if they are disseminating full or gibbous, they may feel really at home and used to that energy, and it fuels them. If you are balsamic, new, or crescent, you may feel just beyond exhausted, beyond logic exhausted with this. Shed overthinking, shed what you can't, the beautiful spiritual world where we have faith and we have belief and we have connection. That is gorgeous. The place when we stay mentally, emotionally in a space where, without grounding and without evidence, we allow ourselves to go to an unpleasant place in our minds and then act off of that. That is where we want to shed. We want to look at those habits and shed anywhere, and create really good, beautiful grounding rituals. Okay. That would be, yeah. I kind of want like flowers and vines, but then things hidden within the flowers and vines. And that is, a phoenix is definitely with my with my Pluto on my ascendant. And also a dragon, but 2 dragons in the yin yang position, because they guard the temple being the physical self. That's interesting. I think I have your chart somewhere, Gia. Now I have to go look at it, that we want like the same tattoos. That's interesting. Any questions about anything I just said? Listen, the first whole hour is me talking about the astrological event that is not exactly the full moon, but the full moon's going to activate, and the Mars moving into Libra is going to activate the Pluto, the Uranus, the Saturn and Neptune, and the Mercury in retrograde all at one time. And so I'm talking a lot about that in the beginning, because it's important to it's important that everybody try not to be reactive, because everyone's going to feel that, and I don't want anyone to be fighting with people they don't need to be fighting with. Sometimes we could just pull ourselves back and be like, you can be mad. I'm not going to engage. I'm not going to help you in that Venus and Serena tennis match of energy right now. I'm just going to hold my own energy. As Lori says, hold your own consciousness. She did a live stream for patrons the other night that was also full of tools. I will be doing a live stream on Saturday just to be reminding people of tools. And I think we will make that a Zoom. That'll be for membership. Do I have anyone? I figured you fell asleep, Juan, my love. Scorpio actually has a nice little money thing in it. Okay, are there any members who want me to just have a quick look at their good night, Gibson? Thank you again. That was so generous and unexpected. Hopefully that's the only Uranian I have been doing a lot of it's hitting my Uranus. So like unexpected stuff has been happening a lot for me. But hopefully that's the only unexpected I get this weekend. Because the last 3 weeks could go suck it. And not in a good way. Does anyone in membership that you would have to have gratitude or nerd level? You should know your level. There's evolutionary membership, astro membership. If not, I can do a second live tomorrow if it's too late for some people. But if you are nerd or gratitude, I would be happy to look at your chart. Um, and if other members are watching this later and you're like, oh, I would really like it and whatever, I can do a little live tomorrow. Sure. So right now we have Add the Jazzy and let me just, and Tanya, who I know are all either gratitude or nerd. But what I will do is I will just pull up the list as per YouTube. I was about to go into my own stuff, but that can change so quickly from. I know my gratitude members. So now I have, okay. No, it should be right on YouTube. It's all YouTube. If you go to my homepage, there should be a join button. And I am reading for nerd and evolutionary, nerd and gratitude members tonight. But it should be right on, like if you leave this window or open up a second window, but it should be join. If you're on the phone, I think you have to like go to, like if you saw the video and you just started watching the video, you would have to like press on my face. That would take you to my actual, like my channel rather, because you can watch a video of me and not be on my channel. So you would have to press my face which would take you to my channel, and there'll probably be a join button there. And I'll show you the different levels. But if you're joining just to get the chart read tonight, this is for Nerd and Gratitude members. There's 4 levels. Okay, let's share back and I think I transposed your okay. All right, Tanya. Thank you for helping, Syra. I'll pop out the chat since I'm going to be on the other. Okay. So you're having this in the first as a late, not late, well, kind of late cap rising. See what it's talking to. It's in a very quiet whisper with that Saturn. I would not worry about that Saturn. If anything, it'll be something annoying like that you have to do, like find a task or something that was kind of hidden. Something will feel like a responsibility that you also have to like hold energetic space for. That might come up. You know, you're having Jupiter, Venus in the 6th here, which is really beautiful, Tanya. And this is also squaring your Pluto in the 10th. This is really pushing you. It's funny because I'm remembering the email that you sent. This kind of, without talking about what the email said, this has to do with it. Where you are really putting your emotional oxygen mask on first, and there's going to be movement in what you are creating as you're calling your legacy, which I know that you are working on. This actually looks like asking for support and getting it. And making sure that you're prioritizing the evolution that you need, the self-refinement that you need to really step into that 10th house calling of yours, which is so well defined and you're so well aware of it. Again, there may be something like annoying that you have to deal with and also like hold space for. There's a really, so the moon is faster than Mars. And so there's such a separation to your Mars in the 5th. That could be nice and spicy for you though. Tomorrow night could get a little brown chicken, brown cow for you. Also, while you're not having it in the 5th, I would be aware that if whatever your plans are to make Leo not an only child, that could uh that could also be on on the subject matter for you for this full moon. Let me look at Adva and then Jazzy. Let me know if any of that made sense. I mean, some of it already came up for you, and I only know that because, again, you communicated. Adva, you're having this in your 11th. Lovely. You're already doing the things. This is about you getting set up. This is about the outside world being able to see you. This is about letting go. The most important part for you, Adva, this is about letting go of anything that would make you feel tethered to you moving forward, right? Which is a little mini conversation I feel like we had the other night about like what if you change? So then if you change and you'll adjust. You're not annoying. Are you on your phone, Gia? If you're on your phone, you might just have to like Google how do I join membership from the phone. How do I join a YouTube membership from my phone? Because I am such a laptop person. It's next to me like a phone all day long because I work from, so I do everything on the laptop. All I know is I think you would have to go to my channel, and from there, I don't know where it is on the phone. But you could probably just Google that would, yeah, if you're on your phone, you might have to just Google and they change it. In all fairness, they change it like every 10 minutes in a different place, which is so annoying. All the updates. I don't know if anybody else has noticed all the terms of agreement being updated very, very often on all big. That's because as they loosen the requirements for corporations and your privacy through governance currently, you're going to see a lot of I agree to new terms of agreement, and you're going to see things update more often than you've seen in the past. That's not Leo retrograde. That is not Mercury retrograde. That is every time we agree to use a necessary app to run our lives, they are able to lessen and lessen our privacy and what they are responsible for because of the things getting passed. Okay, Tanya says, yeah, you've been trying to prioritize your needs so I can get better taken care of. Yeah, you can better take, yeah. Well, so if that is your plan for Leo, then I would just be extra careful this weekend because it looks a little brown chicken, brown cow. Which since you're newer, that's brown chicken, brown cow. And good for you. Yes, but you're taking care of it. You're in your awareness. You're doing all your work. Yeah. And so now when you ask for the support in the way that you need it, learning the phrase in any relationship, how can I best support you, is just, to me, that is on par with I love you. Yay. So that's the evolution. So I'm reading for nerd members in gratitude tonight. So if you're joining to join, please go binge me. Like there's so much probably since you last joined. There's a lot of content. We have one more planet left in the planet series. I did a whole bunch of stuff specifically geared to support everybody through the changes, especially in August. But if you want to be read tonight, you would, and you don't have to. you should, if you want to stay at members club, there's plenty, and I want you to be comfortable at whatever level you're at. But I just want to make sure I clarify the reading of the charts tonight is for nerd and gratitude members. Yeah, Tanya, when you say, how can I best support you? And then also just make that a conversation in relationship with anyone, sister, mother, brother, partner, business partner. How can I best support you? Because sometimes how somebody else wants to be supported and tries to make that be the support that we give others isn't how the other person needs to be supported. So communicating how you want to, and then asking your partner also, how can I best support you? Because maybe what my instinct is in my home, we ask each other, like, would you like a hug right now? Or would you rather this is just talking until you're in a different place? We ask each other how we want to be supported in my home. I know that sounds like very loving and but I don't go, come here, give me a hug, you'll feel better. I don't do that with my kids. They have the physical autonomy to, and that also helps them understand what they need and what they don't need. So then they can communicate it to others as they leave my home. You've got lots to watch, Gia. I'm excited. And we'll be here Saturday. I think I have your email, so you'll get that Zoom. Oh, have a wonderful night, Syra. All right, let's go back to Adva. So Adva, you have been working on your getting right. So what if you change your mind, right? So what if it changes? So then you'll change it. But not letting those things be a reason to not start. And I think you're doing such a good job with that. It's also about, the 10th house is really spotlight, but so is the 9th house and the 11th house to some degree. And the 11th house is like exposing yourself to bigger groups and the internet, and you're doing all the things so that you have digital friendly ways for people to book you and everything else. And so just asking your guides for the alignment and letting things come in. And so that this way, if it comes in and it's aligned, then it's for you. And that will help you mitigate the worry as it comes in. Like, nope, I asked for this. And my guides, guys, your guides will never tell you you're a piece of shit. You should feel bad for this. You're a horrible person. Your guides love you. They fangirl you harder than anyone else. They have if you are feeling bad things and you think that those are messages, those are intrusive thoughts, which every human has. Your guides are not, they have your back and they love you to death. So if you are worried about the what ifs, but you've asked your guides to just align you with where you're supposed to go, that will help you mitigate. Like, nope, my guides would never put me in that position, kind of thing. Keeping that in mind is also really helpful too. Jazzy, jazzy. All right, let's look at anything else. Jazzy, you're coming up. I just want to look at what else it's talking to. It is in a beautiful trine with that Mercury. So restructuring how you communicate with yourself, having two choices of a way to phrase things to yourself, which again, you're working on those moments. It's also in a sextile with your Jupiter in the first house, and you're taking all the action. You're doing the things, you're not hesitating. But also and I've seen you do this, like redirect yourself when you feel, Adva, like you say, this is just so hard. Like, this would be a great time to, I'm not saying don't say that, don't think that, but when you think that, have a different, that second way, Mercury and Gemini, have a second way to phrase it. Like, this is challenging. It's going to, you know, I'm going to come out better. This feels challenging, which just means I'm growing, instead of this is so hard. Right? Shed the thing that will tether you, the phrasing that will tether you, and that's the deconstruction. The reconstruction is, what do I say instead? Because we don't believe in toxic positivity. We're not just going to say pretend it's not hard, pretend it's not challenging, but just saying that, like, this is challenging, which means I'm growing. You're so welcome, Adva. All right, let's look at Jazzy. Okay. Jazzy, you are having this in the 6th. So everything I said about having it in the 6th house, also with Venus ruling your 2nd, there could be some monetary gain, especially career, calling, reputation. There could be some kind of, you could also just feel emotionally like you're being valued. Right. We have to always be honest, Adva. That's such a good point, right? You know, I don't believe in toxic positivity. I think when we first started uh to see each other professionally, there was somebody that was like, you're just not being positive enough. And I was like, oh God, no, don't say, right? It's like, I hate toxic positivity, but also let's give ourselves something that doesn't tell our brain it can't be done, because our brain hears that and our nervous system registers it and everything else, right? But that's such a great way to phrase it. Say it's still honest. Yeah. Yeah, I know you have. So there is something here though, in that so that 2nd house of value, it's just not always money, but there's value. There's emotional. So this could be somebody saying, hey, just so you know, this could be an acknowledgement. This could also be because it isn't Cancer, right? And so, and that moon is in Aquarius. So what's really interesting is the Venus Jupiter, which I probably would have spent more time on how we're not having the other event. I feel like I really want everybody to like not have blow ups and explosions in their lives. And so that's why I spent so much time with the other stuff. Like, don't be reactive. But for you, you know, the full moon is ruling that, or the moon, which is full, is ruling the Jupiter Venus right now, which is showing up in your 10th house and ruling your house of values. So you could be valued. It could just be like a feeling really good, especially when you've been trying to, you know, move into a promotion, move in. So there could be something that just gives you a little, a boost, being told, it could feel hopeful as well. I'm looking at what else it's talking to in your chart. As astrologers say all the time, I'm just looking. This is actually really, this is self-refinement. This is shedding anything, again, in the mindset that holds you back. Also, make sure you're taking, you know, Good balance of your mental, physical. Make sure you're doing lots of physical self-care for mental wellness and how that drains you. And mental wellness is just, I'm shot for the day. Like I can't even read an email because that doesn't mean, it doesn't mean anything more than that. But yeah, this is, I mean, you are really having that beautiful conjunction in the 10th house, which is really hopeful. Now, don't forget with Mercury retrograde, you might not hear about whatever's being activated by this till Tuesday, Wednesday. But other than that, the full moon itself is being gentle. Now, your Mars is being sextiled by Mars. Careful what you see on the internet this weekend, that it doesn't, like, it's probably misinformation or wrong. I would be careful that I don't think that something makes you feel hopeless or feels hard to read or see. I might limit my consumption, digital consumption this weekend, if you can. You know, and of course, you're having a long-term square of Pluto to your sun. So there's tons of transformation. A lot of it is about how you value yourself. But that Mars sextile, I might be limiting in what I consume this weekend, but I would expect to have good news Tuesday, Wednesday, whether it's feedback and somebody really telling you their appreciation for you, or getting hope or good news towards the career moves that you want to make. Could be monetary too. Please let me know if it is. Please email me and let me know. I am going to call it a night. Gia, if you upgrade, email me and let me know. You can just go to the contact on the website and I can email you a little read, especially if you're having frustration and Mercury in retrograde trying to upgrade as we're live. I am going to go feed the kids and myself because we're over 3 hours now. I will, members, look out in your email for a Zoom invite so we can all just kind of get together in a safe space and do whatever we need to do to support each other this weekend. And hopefully some of that is everybody sharing good news of whatever got to be celebratory for you for this full moon. Yeah, loving that conjunction for you, Jazzy, especially because it's the ruler of the second. You know. Oh, it says my tab just crashed. Was that just the chat tab? I just got a notification that says your tabs just crashed. So I'm going to take that as it's time to go. I love you. Now you love you. I'm always here by email. It can't be a 40-page email that takes me 20 minutes to read and respond. That is an appointment. But if anybody's having a crisis, you can contact me just to have voluntary Tourette's and have a safe space to let it out. And I will see members on Saturday and I will see everybody else on Sunday. Bye.